Welcome to CX Summit 2022. I am Sandra, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Kris Beveridge from EvaluAgent and Mark Kowal from Hammer. And we're going to be discussing the position of quality assurance in the contact center today. Welcome both. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing
Very
well.
well, thank you.
Great. So before we dive into the questions, how about a round of introductions? Mark, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Mark Kowal, and I am the Director of Product Marketing at Hammer. And I've been in the contact center for probably about 25 years, doing all different types of jobs from product marketing to product management and being completely integrated with IVR and speech and conversational AI technologies.
Great. And how about you, Kris?
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. Yes, I'm Kris. I'm head of customer success for EvaluAgent. I've worked in contact centers and customer service for over 20 years. My first role was working for a large insurance contact center, answering calls. Prior to EvaluAgent, I spent a decade working for Zendesk, kind of in various roles, kind of building, scaling, and leveling up their own customer support team. So thank you for having me today.
Fantastic. And let's start this discussion with a more general question. So, how important is quality assurance in the contact center today? Kris, would you like to start with this one?
Yeah, sure. I think from our customers' perspective, QA is really kind of ensuring, it's ensuring kind of workforce is empowered to provide the best level of service to their customers. So it's about having those kind of right tools to evaluate the quality of every customer interaction. So really kind of setting that kind of standard of service as well. And then on top of that, you've got that kind of QA data and insight that can really kind of help in terms of improving kind of all areas of kind of your contact center, such as things like an agent performance, for example.
Okay, Mark, what do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely. And, good points, Kris. I couldn't agree more. I liken it to if you were going to do a play or performance of some sort and you don't have a dress rehearsal. I mean, how in the world would you want to go out to an audience and get out there and just try it for the first time in front of a live audience? It very similar to the same thing with QAing your contact center. You don't want to go out to your customers with being unprepared. And so when you look at what QA can bring to you, it is absolutely a mandatory must-have in order to make sure everything is lined up, that what they're expecting is going to work the way that they expect it. And then truthfully, no matter how prepared I have ever been in any kind of testing environment, I've never walked out of a QA test and not learned something. So there's always been something that either we've been able to improve or to learn upon, and it's just absolutely critical in order to make your final performance a success.
Right, and obviously, before investing into any major technology or solution, business want to make sure that it's going to be profitable for their business. But where can business get the biggest return for their investment in quality assurance?
Yeah, I think from our customers' perspective, really kind of QA is about kind of driving operational efficiency. So we're talking about time here. Having maybe a QA platform and a really robust kind of QA strategy can really kind of remove a lot of those kind of manual steps from the process. So we get kind of new customers coming aboard and having a QA strategy kind of really based on archaic kind of spreadsheets. And then kind of the eyes are open when they see kind of how much time they're saving when they kind of think about kind of QA a little bit differently. Thank you.
Oh, definitely. Time is a big thing. When you look at what QA just delivers, think of it from everything from time to results and data to really being able to deliver the customer experience that you were expecting. And having somebody go through and walk through an IVR, for instance, and get their input and feedback on how easy was it to use. You might think it's very simple. You know what the menus are supposed to be and you know where to go. But when you get somebody who hasn't been involved with the overall design, walking through, trying it out, um, and really getting a feel for their experience, you don't get the full impact. So I would even go so far to say, open this up to other people as well who are outside of the organization and get the customer experience results from what you're doing so that you can really see the impact that you're having overall.
Yeah, I think, in terms of like specific KPIs, QA can really kind of, look at kind of those broken processes and really kind of focus on things like kind of first, contact resolution and, looking also from an agent perspective with EvaluAgent, you actually kind of, you're reviewing those calls as well. So you can look for kind of development opportunity with your agents, maybe kind of, maybe miss expectations with kind of customer expectations, for example. I think the other thing, just kind of thinking about it as well, just QA has definitely had an impact in terms of from our customers talking about staff attrition as well. We're seeing that a lot of kind of contact centers have moved into this kind of remote dynamic, and you still need to continue investing into kind of your agents and their performance and having those one-to-ones as well. So what we're seeing is kind of using that QA data to really empower kind of agents, getting them that feedback is really helping with things like staff turnover as well. You have to bring your agents along on that kind of QA journey too.
Great point, Chris. I thought that was an excellent point, especially to take into account what the agents are feeling. Especially, they're not easy to replace anymore. It's hard to find the
Yeah,
work. So you lose one, you lost one, and
yeah,
that can really
completely.
impact your overall center and success of it. Great point.
Yeah, and lately speech and text analytics have become an essential part of contact centers. So what do you think? How can quality assurance help when it comes to these solutions? Mark, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So one of my areas of I'll even call it expertise that I've spent a lot of time is on in the speech and text analytics part, and really understanding what needs to be said, how it needs to be said, and the variety of the way that different people communicate. And there, you have to segment even different areas of the United States, let alone the world. So you really do have to think about how people are going to address the IVR and communicate and understand what they're going to be asking for, whether it be different language, different words, um, just different meanings across the board. So if you're not taking into account the variety of people and the variety of um, uh, nationalities and areas, different different demographics, you're really missing out on fully attesting and attributing what the way that people speak and the way that people type. Matter of fact, that's even another one when you start looking at, you can talk to an IVR you want, but if you're talking to a bot, for instance, through a chat capability, you're going to type differently than you communicate, and you have to accommodate for that as well. So when you look at QA, it's really exercising not just um, one channel of communication, but really it opens up the multiple channels from a verbal communication as well as the written communication and shorthand, and then the different demographics, like I mentioned, whether it be from where you live, nationalities, or even age groups are going to be chat differently.
No, that makes sense. I think just taking a step back, just actually having kind of analytics across your kind of customer conversations, you're getting full coverage of kind of those customer interactions. I think where yeah, it's not just it's getting true insight into kind of that coverage, as opposed to kind of manual kind of quality assurance, where you're only getting maybe a sample of kind of all of that coverage, and it really helps you kind of hone in terms of kind of what you need to kind of focus on in regards to your QA strategy and your performance as well. So I don't know. In some ways, it doesn't. I don't think it answers everything all the time, but I think it really helps kind of direct where you need to kind of focus your customer experience efforts as well.
Mm.
Right. And how does quality assurance help when it comes to integrations into the contact center? Kris, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we see with customers are they're still kind of using kind of various different systems to kind of manage kind of customer interaction. So you'll have a telephony, you'll have a customer who's managing on a telephony platform, and then you've got kind of customer service platform. You've got kind of some have standalone chats kind of platforms as well, social media, chatbots as well. I think QA really helps kind of bring those systems together, so collectively you get a good understanding in terms of kind of that standard of service, but also kind of you can look at kind of things in terms of consistency as well across all of those systems too.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly what Kris said. I mean, you just nailed it. I'll add one more thing, and that is in terms of you're even checking things like latency. So, how many times are you talking to a contact center agent and they say, "Oh, hold on a second, the system's slow," and it's waiting for multiple seconds, or you know, um, sometimes several seconds before the information pops up on their screen. And that's all impacting the customer experience. It's impacting the time the agent spends on the call. So it's impacting both your customer as well as your own dollars in the contact center, because you're paying for those seconds. And if you multiply it by the hundreds, thousands, maybe 10,000s of calls that you're getting, boy, that really adds up. So I think you really got to be paying attention to if you're not paying attention to those integrations and the response times and being able to measure those appropriately, you're missing out on what could be a leaky faucet.
Right. And finally, what are your top 2-3 areas that you think businesses should focus on in the next 12 months when it comes to quality assurance? Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think a big thing is going to be when we start talking about omni-channel. What does that look like? How are you integrating between not just different multi-channels of communication, but how do you integrate them together? How do you help people communicate who might be having a difficult time, be able to be more intentional and be able to see what they're doing, or um, push screens to their cell phone and integrate. So you're now taking everything we just talked about, how people communicate verbally and how people communicate written. How do they integrate with the back end systems, which we just talked about? And then adding that in terms of how does this all interact together in an omni-channel world? I think that those are very important areas that the business needs to be watching, and not just be limited to one communication or one channel.
Kris, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I think one, don't use your QA data in isolation. So you should be thinking about kind of meshing, if that's the right term, with other metrics such as kind of customer satisfaction, really getting a much richer kind of exposure of kind of and a holistic view of your kind of your customer experience as well. Again, trying to work out kind of what your focus is and improving kind of customer experience as well. I think the second one is really consider your coverage of QA versus the risk to your business. So, are you getting true exposure of kind of what to focus on in your contact center? Consider analytics to kind of mitigate kind of risk from compliance to brand loyalty, really. And I think the last point is really kind of ensuring QA data is getting that kind of engagement across kind of all levels of the business. You've got managers, you've got team leads, you've got agents as well. So if we just kind of focus on agents for a second, I think I touched upon this earlier as well, but give them that kind of QA data and that feedback in the right way, to really kind of help kind of truly develop them in terms of their roles and their careers as well. It's definitely been a tough kind of few years for agents as well. So we should definitely be kind of investing in them as well.
Thank you, Kris. I think that's a great place to end this conversation. And thank you so much for joining me today, gentlemen, and for this insightful discussion.
Thank you, Sandra.
And thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next video.